Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent, which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth, that Lenus is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenus?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenus.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dana? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenus alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenus has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenus has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenus single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenus from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenus. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenus. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Danon. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made Sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 Sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renus Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered, until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dana, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction. Let's go find it! I didn't realize Renans oppressed their own kind, too.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself, do you not?
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any Danon city we visited. I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated fairly either.
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard of the Red Woman.
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong place entirely?
It's still too early to say anything for sure.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment until we've exhausted every avenue.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfrikt Milgras, the former lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfrikt whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renan by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Core existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Those soldiers seem different from the citizens we've come across so far.
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's for sure. They just attacked without warning.
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's presence either.
Indeed. They seem to recognize us as enemies, nothing more. And yet, traditionally, Lenegis hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied Zeugles during experiments here and there, but not much else.
Their glazed-over eyes reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Haros. The ones in blind devotion to Volron.
I've never seen anything like that here on Lenegis before.
Maybe someone doesn't want us here, and the soldiers are their way of letting us know.
What with the Red Woman, the Sovereign, and Volron, we're starting to develop quite the growing list of adversaries. At least we'll know to keep our wits about us.
What the hell just happened?
That vision. Did everyone else see it too?
That person Alphen was speaking to, she looked exactly like Shion.
It was Naori. Naori Imeris. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
She really does look like Shion. I'm beginning to see why Alphen was so confused.
That's all very well and fine, but what did we just witness exactly? It was too real to be a mere hallucination.
It was a conversation we had 300 years ago. The night before the ceremony.
You mean all of that really happened? We just saw an episode straight out of your past?
But how is that even possible? Unless... Could this be the Red Woman's handiwork too?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
You guys didn't feel it? The moment the entrance opened, it was like a stream of Danon astral energy rushing over us.
I felt it too. And not for the first time either. It was the same sensation as back inside the wedge.
That would make sense. After all, vast amounts of Dana's astral energy were being siphoned and sent up here to Lenegis. For all we know, perhaps we're close to the spot where all that energy was stored.
So you think it might have been the energy itself that was responsible for that vision we just saw? But how? And why?
We have no way of knowing. Maybe it's not even as deliberate as all that.
Shion, you okay?
Yeah, it was all just a little sudden, that's all. So that was my ancestor, huh? It was like looking into a mirror.
Yeah, there certainly is a resemblance.
What about you? How are you holding up?
Me?
Even putting aside the question of where that vision came from, it's likely we'll see more of those. Reliving painful episodes from your past. Do you think you can handle it?
I can't just pretend like the past never happened. Besides, if it helps us uncover the truth of what that ceremony really was, it might also lead to answers about your thorns.
Alphen.
That's not all. This whole time, we've been fighting to free Dana from the Renans. But now that we're here, it seems those same Renans might have it just as bad. I'd like to liberate them too if I can. Which is just another reason I can't afford to shield my eyes from the truth.
Whether you're on Dana or somewhere else, you always stay the same. Your indignation and righteous passion, your desire to free and protect, they're all hardwired into you. Not that I'm complaining. Come on, let's bust this thing wide open.
For the people of Lenegis, the Forbidden Zone is the stuff of dreams. Yet here I am, standing within its hallowed halls.
It's off limits even for lords, then? Talk about an exclusive club.
Being exclusive is one thing, but how many important facilities let in only the Sovereign? Doesn't that seem a little strange?
Strange doesn't cover it. If it was only one room, maybe. But a place on this scale? How do they keep it from falling into ruin? Whoever the Sovereign is, they can't manage the upkeep of this whole place themselves.
Did no one ever talk about it when you were growing up?
No, not that I can remember. Then again, Sovereigns and Forbidden Zones weren't exactly breakfast table conversations.
The Forbidden Zone is a hallowed place, at one with the Sovereign's authority, grounds of the one true ruler who presides over all Renans. That is what we believed this place to be. No, what we were made to believe it was. But now, it is finally time to discover this area's true purpose, and why it was kept hidden behind the scenes for so long.
He seems like a good friend.
He hasn't changed. He never was one to stand out. Instead, he was always hanging back, worrying about everyone else. As for Faria, it's always the closest to me who get hurt.
You don't seriously blame yourself for what happened to her, do you?
Somebody got to her, to strike back at me. Someone who knew me well enough to know that I'd hesitate to fight back. And the same goes for you as well. Neither you nor Faria would have lost loved ones, if it wasn't for me.
You're wrong. Kelzelik was the one who killed my brother, under orders from Almadria. As for Tarnagin, if it weren't for the crown contest, he'd still be alive. That and the whole damn hierarchy that makes it possible. But that's why we're fighting. To put an end to this whole messed up system that treats people as expendable.
Indeed. Ridding society of this blight is really the only way I know how to atone for my sins.
You can't atone, Dohalim. I know it hurts to hear, but those people are dead. No amount of soul-searching or trying to make amends is going to change that. Forgiveness, acceptance, those ships have sailed.
So I just forget the harm I caused?
No, the opposite, in fact. You remember. You never forget. You keep it in your heart always. And then you go on living. Not for those already passed, but for those still alive.
For those still alive.
Kisara's right. So long as we've still got breath in our bodies, we can make a difference in the lives of others. Lives being the operative word.
That's what living's all about. Being able to still make a difference. Punishing yourself for the past won't make the pain of your conscience go away.
Only fixing the problem in its stead. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. You have to live for tomorrow, Dohalim, not for yesterday. And not only that, you need to live for yourself, and for the change that you still can be.
I shall try.
Don't forget, we've still got a mystery to solve. The Forbidden Zone, remember?
Shion,
Huh?
thank you. You have my deepest gratitude for what you did for Faria.
Glad to be of service. Do you think Faria was really being controlled by someone?
Certainly seemed that way. The question is, who? The Red Woman?
The same person who's behind all of this, I'll bet. Whoever that is.
Brainwashed or otherwise, the feelings of resentment she holds towards me are real.
Someone used her because they knew we'd hold back. If that's not playing dirty, I don't know what is.
It does tell us one thing at least. Someone here in Lenegis is watching us. Someone who means us harm.
There's no question. That attack was meant for us alone.
By someone capable of getting inside a person and manipulating them like a weapon. We need to find whoever it is, fast.
That vision we saw. It was as if it was meant specifically for us.
What do you make of it? Do you still think the will of Dana might be involved somehow?
Maybe it's trying to tell us something. But what?
Well, it could be supernatural. You know, like seeing dead people, messages from beyond the grave, ghost-type stuff.
That's your grand theory? That we're being haunted? Come on, Law.
Wait. He might be closer to the mark than you think. What if a person's thoughts and deeds were to somehow become indelibly etched into the ether of a place? And what if those with a connection could then somehow pick up on them?
You think that's what it was? Some kind of message someone left here for us?
I am merely entertaining the possibility. Whether it was Dana's will, or somehow connected to the Sovereign and Maiden's powers, I do not know.
Okay, back up a sec. You're saying that if a place is full of enough astral energy, it can somehow show us events that happened centuries ago?
More to the point, how does that much astral energy gather in one place anyway? Seems unlikely it happened naturally.
Whatever it was, it survived here intact for 300 years. Whoever left it for us, the strength of their intent is beyond doubt.
The strength of their intent.
Only 2 sovereigns in over 300 years. So why has the experiment only succeeded twice in all this time? And if that's the case, why keep on doing it? Was there really no other way? Or could there be some other reason?
Dohalim.
Forgive me.
Alphen.
I'm fine. I'm just a little shaken, that's all. I knew what I was already, so it's not like it's a surprise or anything. But it's strange. I've got all this rage inside of me, but I don't even know who it's for. I'm scared that I'll put a face to it, just to have someone to blame.
If that were to happen, then No. Then we'd help you fight it, before you ever got that far. Wouldn't we, everyone?
Yeah, we wouldn't just sit by and watch you spiral out of control.
That's right. No good can come from being consumed by hatred.
If you ever start to lose your way, you can count on us to guide you back. To remind you where home is.
And I would be happy to lend an attentive ear, should you ever have need.
Thank you, everyone. I think I'll be okay now. So Naori sealed away the power that made me lose control of myself. She stopped my rampage and saved my life. But then, that power she'd sealed away was passed down to you. I'm so sorry, Shion. It's my fault that you're cursed.
You're wrong. What happened to you was because of the ceremony, and Naori's attempt to stop Oblivion. You paid a heavy price for it, and then fell asleep for 300 years. The reason you lost your memories
Is the reason for your curse.
the thorns.
It all leads back to them. But once they're gone, we can finally put an end to all this.
When my thorns are gone, I never dared to dream that such a thing could be possible. No, the truth is, I think maybe I've always been dreaming about a life without my thorns. The touch of my family, or playing with my friends, holding hands with Rinwell, or giving Law a deserved smack, embracing everyone. All the normal things that people do together. I always wished I could experience them for myself, and finally know what they were like. Is it really okay for me to believe it can happen? I'm so scared of getting my hopes up. What if it doesn't work out in the end, and...
That's not going to happen. I'm here to make sure it won't. Forget fate or destiny or anything else. We're going to live a normal life. There are a lot of things you still want to do, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's such a strange feeling. I know that we've still got plenty of fighting up ahead. And it's for my sake. So I can live.
You're worth fighting for.
I believe you, Alphen.
Good. I'll keep on fighting. For as long as it takes. Until our future is finally in our hands.
We're a long way from the residential quarters now. It looks completely different.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, this place, it reminds me more of being back inside the wedge.
Except the Danon astral energy feels even stronger here.
In a portion of the city reserved purely for the Renan sovereign.
Maybe he just has strange tastes?
This place looks like it has been here for quite some time now. If its design were a matter of personal preference, we would be talking from centuries ago. Or perhaps even further back. Still, this isn't the sort of decadence of taste spoken of in artistic circles. So what is it then?
Hold up, decadence? Artistic circles?
When a preference is indulged to its extreme, it descends into kitsch, eccentricity for the sake of it. I'd be happy to illuminate you further.
That depends. Does it involve you buying me lunch?
The void that art fills isn't the stomach, it's the soul.
In that case, I'll let you know the next time my soul starts to rumble.
Now all we need is something to fill up the void inside your head.
Shut up! Sounds like this Naori chick had quite the big heart.
Her position demanded nothing less. From the sound of things, she didn't focus on differences, least of all those between Renans and Danans.
Yeah. It was Naori who first showed me that such a thing was even possible. And then she saved my life by sending me back home to Dana.
Not only that, but she willingly stayed behind on Lenegis for the sake of her people. It sounds like she was quite the hero, all right. A truly caring person.
It's as if walls meant nothing to her. The ones separating the Renans from the Danans, or herself from others. She had no need for them.
Which basically meant that she never had anything to break down in the first place, huh? Yeah. I think you may be right about that.
You inherited that legacy. Her wish for the world.
Don't I know it?
She's kind of like a lodestar guiding our way, showing us what we can aspire to.
I didn't see that coming about Volron. As for those red women, to think they were monsters all along.
Tell me about it. One minute they look perfectly human. Next thing you know, they're not actually human at all.
They definitely weren't Renan or Danan. I'm not even sure language would get through to them.
So what were they then? Human Zoogle hybrids?
is the most terrifying thing anyone said all day.
How about you, Shion? Dohalim? You ever seen anything like that before?
No, never. However, if they're the same as the Red Woman we've seen with Volron, I think it's safe for us to assume they understand our language at the very least.
I had just so much I wanted to ask them. About Rena, and Shion's thorns.
Unfortunately, they blew themselves up before we got the chance. Why would they do such a thing, though? To take us with them? Or in order to keep something hidden?
Both sound plausible to my ears. They took off with the Renis Alma too, remember?
Yeah, they did. And the next time we meet them, we're going to make sure they tell us everything they know.
In one sense, when all is said and done, perhaps I have been a slave this whole time too.
You, a Renan Lord? How do you figure that exactly?
I was complicit in the Renan system, bound by its values, resigned to being swept along, without the resolve to take a stand. And when I realized the severity of my mistake, all I longed for was punishment. A lord. And yet my first instinct was to place my fate in the hands of others.
I think I can relate. I couldn't stand watching my people bow and scrape their way through life, but I didn't know what else I could do about it either. The ability to think for yourself and be your own master. That's what separates a slave from a free person. At least, that's what Law's dad Zephyr used to say. Zephyr taught me how to fight. But in doing so, he also taught me how to live.
Even if it means stumbling along the way. If it's on a road of our own choosing, free of regret. Why, that's the road of freedom. Or, to put it another way, so long as his heart is compromised, even the loftiest of kings is no freer than a slave. I think I finally understand now. This Zephyr character sounds like he was a wise man indeed. I only wish I could have met him.
There's just so much I wish I could ask him, especially now. I wonder, have I been correctly carrying on the torch that he passed to me?
How long have you known?
Known what?
About the darkness I carry inside me. You seem to have been aware of it for quite some time now.
Why ask me now? What does it matter? But yes, I have. I've pretty much known that something was gnawing at you ever since we left Menancia.
So basically since the very start of our journey then. Just when I thought I couldn't feel more ashamed.
Leave the past where it belongs. We have no need for it now. You're forging ahead. That's what matters. If my brother could see you, he'd be proud.
Not as proud as he would be of his sister, I'm sure.
Well then, just as well it's not a competition, huh?
I still can't get over what we saw happening outside the starship.
Yeah, our planet's really not doing too hot right about now.
I've only ever seen Rena from the surface of Dana, so I figured it was just another round planet like ours. Still though, I never would have imagined Rena actually looked like that. And what's the deal with that giant flower coming out of it?
Beats me. I have absolutely no clue. It's so surreal. It looks like a broken egg or something.
Rena and Dana. We were taught that both worlds were spherical bodies that floated amongst the stars in the heavens. But to think that they lied to us not only about the Sovereign and the Crown contest, but also the form of our own planet.
Dohalim.
That beam of light joining Dana and Rena. It was the Renan side that it first came from, right?
That's what it looked like. And then the Danon side responded.
Perhaps it was some kind of directive from the Renan homeworld? To reawaken the Wedge and Lenus?
Which would mean that whoever's behind all this is on Rena after all. But what are they after? Is it really worth going through all this trouble just to steal Dana's energy?
Try to stay calm. With so many factors we don't understand, dwelling on it won't get us anywhere. What is it?
No, it's just... Zephyr once told me the same thing. So much for me making progress, huh?
You made it this far, didn't you? You notice something, you change it. That's all anyone can do. But you can't stand still in the meantime.
Boo!
Ah! What the? Are you out of your mind? This isn't the time for games, Rinwell!
Oh, come on. How am I supposed to resist with you looking all jittery like that?
It's called experiencing feelings appropriate to the situation. You ought to try it sometime.
Yeah, but seeing you act all nervous, you're making me start to feel nervous too. Whew!
Oh, sorry.
Staying alert is important, but too much caution can cloud your judgment. Try to strike a balance.
You can't seriously be buying anything that creature told us, right? I mean, it's practically blackmailing us into doing its dirty work.
To be honest, the conversation went on for so long, I'm not sure I understood all of it. How about you, Dohalim? Were you able to follow it at all?
At the very least, everything it said about the Renan Great Spirit adds up. At the end of the day, this whole chain of events comes back to astral energy. That being said, had we not previously encountered the will of Dana, I suspect I would find its story much more difficult to believe.
The spirit of Rena wants to see Dana completely destroyed.
But why? Astral energy is supposed to be a force that creates and shapes the world.
It doesn't matter. I don't care if we're up against an entire world or what its game is. We're not going to let it destroy Dana.
Right.
There is one other thing that concerns me. How the Great Spirit, the Helganquil, and the Crown Contest are all part of a centuries-long plan is clear enough. But what about the Renans? How do they factor into all this?
Now that you mention it, and all that talk, Hevric 35 never even brought up the Renans once. And as for the Helganquil, we never did find out just what they are either.
Maybe it had a reason for keeping its silence. Or perhaps there's even more going on. Maybe the others will shed more light on the matter. Let's find out.
It feels like our whole world has been turned upside down. Is there anything we know that's still true at this point?
Seriously, I'm still trying to process the fact that we Renans were created by the Helganquil, let alone the Sovereign and Maiden stuff.
Let's take a moment to gather ourselves. I know all of this is a lot to believe and take in, but I think it's fair to say that we've found the answers we've been looking for. Does everyone agree?
Agreed. Though I'll admit that I never expected it to all boil down to Rena's Great Spirit being behind everything.
Everything that's happened, everything we've endured, it's all because of astral energy.
And to get that energy, the Great Spirit took control of the Helganquil. Then the Helganquil created the Renans, who went on to invade and rule over the Danans.
Plus, the reason the Great Spirit can't directly control the Renans as well is likely because they were originally Danans all along.
Either way, I think it's fair to say we've all had a lot to take in at once. Maybe too much, even. We should probably take it easy and rest our minds a bit. Why don't we all take some time to think things over, before we decide on our next move?
That's a good idea, Kisara. If the Renan Great Spirit really is behind all this, then we've got a really big fight ahead of us. Because it's not just Dana on the line, but Rena too. If we're going to do this, we need to be completely sure of ourselves. So let's go ahead and break off for now. We aren't in any immediate danger, so we should be okay. You sure you don't want to be alone right now?
I could ask you the same question.
I figured I'd get all my thinking in while walking around and checking up on everybody.
I'll go along with you. I'm interested to hear what's on everyone's minds too.
Sounds good. Let's go find them. Everything we thought we knew. It was all just a fabrication that the Red Women, no, that the Helganquil made up.
Right. Assuming we can believe anything that Hevrek 35 has told us, that is.
Well, if the names are anything to go by, it's possible the Helganquil could be behind the fruits of Helgen too.
But if Hevrek 35 was telling the truth, and this was all just one massive lie, does that mean everything we've done up until now has been pointless?
No, I don't think so. Or at least I hope not. I think it just means we've lost our foothold for now. That's all.
Really? Well then, if we've lost it, I guess we'll just have to find another. All of us together. And if we can't find one, then we'll make a new one. End of story.
Make one, huh? I see. Right then. Count me in.
I still can't believe it, man.
You're not the only one still trying to make sense of all this. Believe me.
Really? You've never struck me as the type of guy to get hung up on these sorts of things.
Did you forget what happened back in Thistleum? Once my memories started coming back to me, I felt completely and totally lost.
It was really that bad for you?
Yeah, it was. But thanks to Law and everybody else, I remembered that I still had things out there worth fighting for.
Man, I think you might be a better guy than me, Alphen. All I can remember thinking was, when's this guy gonna get his act together?
Law.
I was too worried about repeating the same mistakes I'd made back with my dad, and running away from the truth. That was no way to live. And I've tried to stay strong, my way. But all this talk about other races and the world ending, if I can be honest with you guys, it's just all too much for me to handle right now.
I know this is going to sound strange coming from me, but maybe the key is not to worry too much about the big stuff right now.
Oh?
I used to worry all the time about my thorns, for obvious reasons, but I never really opened up to anyone about them. And when I realized my visions pointed to a threat that was bigger than me, I didn't know what I should do or who to tell. But that's when I finally got it. You guys were all there for me, to teach me what's really important. I just had to open up and listen.
In other words, if you let the big picture stuff get you all muddled up inside, you'll begin to lose sight of what you really care about. Yeah, I think you're right.
The thing that's most important, what I really care about, all I want to do is protect the people that really matter to me, to fight for them. That's good enough, right?
Not everyone is strong enough to fight.
Huh?
It's something your dad told me once when he was still alive. Law, you know you're strong enough to fight, and you're strong enough to protect the people you care about. Forget all the big stuff going on. Just don't lose sight of what you want to protect in the first place. Sound good?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it does. It's like a big weight's been lifted off my shoulders. I'll fight to protect the people around me. Just like I always have. I think that's best.
You both seem awfully calm.
Only because after everything we've seen, we don't have the energy to keep being shocked.
How are you holding up, Rinwell? That whole talk about the Renans looked like it shook you up a bit.
Yeah. I get this sinking feeling whenever I remember how Dan and mages like my family were persecuted and died out. And now, I finally know why that is. But I was thinking, if Renans end up living together with Danans again, then mages won't be such an unusual thing to see on Dana anymore, right? I know it's not as simple as all that, but Danans probably won't be so quick to let their guards down. And there might be Renans who still act superior because of their arts.
It wouldn't surprise me. 300 years of bad blood and prejudice isn't going to be an easy thing to overcome.
Yeah, I know firsthand just how much hatred can take hold in your heart once you let it in. But even so, I was still able to change. And if I can change, so can anyone else. So I was thinking maybe, I don't know, I could use my position as both a Danon and a mage to help bring both sides together.
Renwell.
That great spirit worries me too, though. Dana's will feels so warm and inviting. So why is Rena's will trying to destroy our entire planet?
Now that you mention it, Everett 35 and the other scientists here never really brought that up. Maybe they don't know either.
Maybe. But regardless, at the end of the day, Dana's still our home. There's no way we can let it be destroyed.
We won't. We'll keep it safe no matter what.
Oh, it's you two. Does he seem like he's doing any better now?
He who? Oh, you mean Dohalim, don't you?
I know that we're all struggling to wrap our minds around it all, but he looked like he was taking it really hard earlier.
What do you think about everything we've learned? About the Renans and the Great Spirit and all that?
On some level, I'm not even really sure what to think, to be honest. I mean, the Great Spirit is like a huge natural disaster, but with a mind and will of its own. But if that thing's hell-bent on trying to destroy our planet, then the only thing left for us to do is stop it. As for the Renans, I suppose my feelings on that are a bit more mixed.
How so?
Coexistence between Danons and Renans in Menancia is still a work in progress. In my case, I think that's partly because deep down, I was still on guard around Renans. So, to be told that they're like us, that they're actually just like us is, well, I guess it's a little deflating, to be honest.
You kept a pretty level head.
You mean about the Renans? At the end of the day, the Helgan Quill and the Great Spirit are the ones who are responsible. But at the same time, I realize that not every Danon is necessarily going to believe that either.
I know you're already aware of this, but the list of grievances the Danons have against the Renans is long, and understandably so. And if people then find out that they're all actually one and the same, yeah, I don't think they're going to take to it too kindly.
Even just among the Danons, I'm sure there'll be some who emerge with power and some who won't. I think if we can find a way to get rid of that imbalance, then we'll be in a truly good place.
Well, first we can try to figure out what to do about the existing conflicts we have.
Yeah. It'd be nice if one day people could learn to get past their hatred like Rinwell did.
It's no small task. We can't pretend like the past didn't happen and ask people to forget their very real pain and suffering.
Right. Everybody has their reasons for feeling the way that they do. But if we just keep yelling at each other about it, we'll never move on. In a worst-case scenario, it might lead to even more people getting killed.
And we all have to figure out how to meet halfway. Not just that, but to also embrace each other's pain, in a sense.
That's an interesting way of putting it.
It's true. Everybody has their own scars, their own trauma. The first step to healing those wounds is to put aside that hatred. It won't be achieved through reasoning, but I think it's a good first step, if nothing else. And now, I think I see a way to move forward. But to do that, first we need to make sure our planet isn't going to get wiped out.
I apologize for making you witness that.
You mean hearing the origins of the Renans?
Indeed. It's shocking to have so many things I thought to be indelible fade away in mere seconds.
Even I'm still not sure everything we've heard here is actually true.
Let's not delude ourselves. If what we've heard is a lie, it's a rather elaborate one. I can only imagine that you must have been constantly feeling like this, ever since your memory returned, Alphen. And you as well, Shion. About your thorns, and being a maiden.
That's just part of being alive, don't you think?
Well, to say the least. But enough about me. I'm not concerned for myself. What concerns me is all of the other Renans out there.
When you say the other Renans, you mean the ones that are living on Lenus or Dana, right?
Correct. Even if we stop the Great Spirit from annihilating Dana, our problems will still remain. Putting aside the untold state that Rena may be in, if we do not truly belong there, we will have to think long and hard about where it is that we wish to return to.
So, I guess your only real choices at this point are to either stay on Lenegis or come down to Dana, huh? And right now, Lenegis might not even be a safe option.
And at the same time, Danans are hardly likely to embrace Renans with open arms. If the issue is forced, things could turn dire. There is, after all, 3 centuries worth of hatred to overcome between us. And the victims of our rule have absolutely every right to feel animosity towards us Renans. Our own circumstances as the aggressors are irrelevant.
I didn't expect the former Lord of Menancia to be so down about people reconciling.
Menancia's fate was a stroke of good luck. There had been backlash over how it had been ruled, and I was blessed to have sympathizers among my ranks. Still, even now, there remain ardent dissidents.
But things can still change if you have the right people to help lead the way. Isn't that what you hope to achieve on Lenegis, after this is all over?
Indeed. I have fully accepted the burden of that responsibility. In that regard, I remain determined. On that note, I have something of a favor to ask of you, Alphen.
Oh? What is it?
I wish for you to serve as a mediator so that the Renans can live on Dana peaceably. As the one and only Blazing Sword, I suspect the Danans may listen to what you have to say when problems arise.
And I take it that you'll be the one to represent the Renans?
Yes. I realize that I'm asking quite a lot of you. However, the fact of the matter is that it will take time for Renans to re-enter Danan society without any bloodshed. That is why...
You're the same as ever, Dohalim.
Is it too much?
No, relax. You get so tense and formal when you're asking for a favor. Listen, there's no need for that. We're friends.
You're too kind. I can see you were raised well.
That's some high praise, Alphen.
Then I'll ask once again, this time just as friends. Alphen, will you help me?
You don't even need to ask. Of course I will.
Thank you, my friend.
Well, it sounds like everyone's learning from their past and using it to create a better future for everyone.
What about you, Shion? How do you feel about the origin of the Renans?
To be honest, I'm not really all that shocked, actually. I mean, I might be a Renan in the literal sense, but I've never really felt like one of them. Right now, it's kind of a mystery.
How do you mean?
Because for a really, really long time, all I ever thought about was how I was going to die. Not if or when, but how. I thought I'd die alone. That fate had me in its steely grip. I would have never imagined that I'd be traveling with someone like you, fighting to save Rena and Dana. I mean, how could I have? It's been going on for 300 years. All this tragedy and destruction. When you consider the Helganquil's part in all this, it's been even longer than that. It was Naori's hope that somehow, someone in the future would be able to stop it, before it was too late. How it fell on us, of all people, to heed that call, is a mystery.
I don't think Naori was hoping that we would just stop the world from getting destroyed. She considered me, a Danan, as a real person. And she very much cherished her own people, too. I don't think she wanted the world to be saved, just so they could go back to hurting each other. Oh, maybe this is what she meant.
Huh?
When we were talking to Kisara earlier, about all that stuff like everyone's needing to meet halfway and embrace each other's pain and suffering. She said that the first step down that path was for each of us to put aside our own hatred. That means forgiving other people, even and especially before they forgive you.
Forgiving. So it goes both ways, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I don't just mean forgiving things that happened in the past either. Conflicts will keep happening. If we have any hope of moving on and building a better future, we have to all learn to forgive each other.
You know, you're right. People can hurt one another without even meaning to. I know that better than most, thanks to these thorns.
It's not going to be easy getting past this pain. But if we can do it, I'm sure there'll come a time when we can all truly understand each other. I'm there with you, Shion. I too want to protect the world we live in, and all the people we care about. I think that's the very least I can do to repay Naori for everything that she did.
Yeah. I want a future that she would feel proud to live in, and I'm going to fight for it.
Whoa there, Savior Girl. We're here to save you too, you know.
Yes, I know. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. I want to live, and that's the honest truth.
So if the Sovereign and Maiden were originally boot-up programs for Lenus, what about now?
Even with the Forbidden Zone in ruins and the Rena Alma stolen, Lenus is functioning fine. If it needed us before, it doesn't appear to now.
First they lumber you with a position you never asked for, then you're discarded like you're nothing? Who the hell do they think they are?
More importantly, who do they think we are? We might not even factor into their list of concerns.
I just hope everyone on Lenus is safe.
Worst comes to worst, Lenus is equipped with a large number of starships the people can escape in. As long as the whole satellite doesn't suddenly explode or something, they should be fine.
Wait, explode?
In any case, if we're truly going to make a difference, it's on Rena we're needed, not Lenus. The people there will be fine, I'm sure of it.
Right.
Is the Rena Alma really our only hope against the Great Spirit? There has to be another way, right?
Shion's Fire Master Core was able to suppress astral energy to prevent it from gaining sentience, right? Couldn't we make use of that somehow?
I'm not sure. In small doses, maybe, but with the amount of energy we're talking about here.
Back in Calaglia, the Blazing Sword was able to take in a whole spirit vessel's worth of energy. If it has the capacity to manage that, it can do this, right?
Except after it absorbed the energy, it ended up releasing it all moments later, remember? Let's not forget, it nearly killed you. Besides, this is the Great Spirit we're talking about, not a paltry vessel. Even if I could use the Master Core, your body wouldn't be able to take the strain of channeling that much energy.
Hevrect 35 didn't mention it, and it did not seem the type to skimp on details, so assuming it's even possible, the chances are slim to none.
You're probably right.
A hollowed ocean as far as the eye can see. What do you think would happen if we fell in?
What do you mean, what would happen? You'd drown, wouldn't you?
Come to think of it, I don't believe I've heard of someone ever trying. Perhaps you'd like the glory of being the first?
Nah, I'll pass.
This is essentially a world-sized Renan graveyard. Are you proposing to disturb the dead slumber just to satisfy your curiosity, Law?
No, because I said I passed.
Taking an interest is understandable, but let's not forget where we are. This place deserves our respect.
Looks like we're not going to be hearing the end of this one for a while.
You'd think I was already snorkeling in it or something. So the idea is to seal the Great Spirit inside the Rena Alma using the Sovereign and Maiden's power. But just how do we do that exactly?
I'm guessing it won't be as easy as holding a spirit channeling ceremony at our leisure.
I already had wielded astral energy once 3 centuries ago. As for suppressing her thorns, Shion's had a lifetime's experience. The problem isn't just our enemy's strength. It's that it's sentient, too. And you can bet anything you like it's not going to just sit back and let us destroy it.
In other words, we need to find some way to weaken it in advance. The Great Spirit, that is.
Back when Shion's thorns flew out of control, we were able to deal with them directly. If this is their host, they should be even more corporeal here.
If that's the case, it should make them easier to attack at least. And if we can manage to divert enough energy away from the spirit's core, even temporarily,
we might just be able to weaken it enough to steal the Renus Alma, which we can then use to seal it away forever. It won't be easy, but it's our only shot. Time to buckle up. I thought there'd be more dirt and rocks and stuff underneath the hollowed ocean, but it's all artificial.
I would imagine they're remnants left behind by the Helganquil, seeing as there's little actual land remaining.
it's incredible. Do you think it stretches all the way down to the center of the planet?
Hey, these guys built Lenus, remember? They probably did this in a weekend.
If they had the power to create things like this, did they really only use those immense capabilities to serve the Great Spirit? Or rather, was that the only use the Great Spirit let them use their capabilities for?
Alphen,
I can't forgive them for what they've done, but I hate killing them. They don't even know why they're fighting. How does that even make them any different from the Danon slaves?
Perhaps. However, if we don't make a choice, the guilt of not doing anything will be that much worse.
Yeah, I know. I hate for it to be like this. But if it happens again, you won't find me hesitating to act.
We haven't seen anyone here except Helganquil. Looks like this place really is their home planet.
The true citizens of Rena. What a shame that they have become nothing more than puppets to the Great Spirit. To think of the promise their accomplishments once held. They had the potential to be great indeed.
Do you think we could have got along with them? You know, if we had met under different circumstances. Like
all of us, you mean? I suppose it's difficult to say for sure. We don't even know if they would see us as being on an equal level with them or not.
I think we may have had the chance once, before the Renan Great Spirit came along and changed everything.
You and Alphen both share an optimism. A strong willingness to believe in hope.
Do you think that's foolish?
On the contrary, I should like to take a leaf from your book myself. In tragedy's aftermath, hope is all we have.
I wonder how the Renans avoided being mind-controlled like the Helganquil. Do you think it might have something to do with the fact that they were originally Danons?
I'd say it's likely, which is pretty ironic when you think about it.
Ironic?
The Renans have committed grave injustices against the Danons. But it was all of their own volition, not because they were being controlled. Now, it turns out they themselves were once Danons too.
Which must mean that the root of their evil isn't the Great Spirit, but something inherent in all of us. Our free will.
Now hang on, though. It was that same free will that allowed Xion and Dohalim to choose to fight alongside us. Without it, we wouldn't have been able to beat hatred and forge all those connections we've made. Free will is what saved us, right?
Law's entirely right. In any case, it certainly can't hurt to look on the bright side every now and then.
Yeah. Where there's hope, there's a way.
What'd he say?
He said, without a doubt.
Just look at the size of that thing. And how Helganquil's technology certainly is impressive. And they don't seem to do things by halves either. In the past 300 years. No, even before that. Just how many people, Renan or Danon, do you think have ever seen this?
regarding the past 3 centuries at least, I'd say there's a good chance that we're the first. Also, while I get that it's impressive and all, I'm just amazed you're still standing around gawping at it at a time like this. Sometimes I wonder about your priorities.
I can understand where he's coming from. More to the point, does anyone know where it leads?
What do you mean where it leads? To the center of the planet, of course.
And that doesn't strike you as sounding just a little bit, oh, I don't know, far? There has to be a quicker way to get there, right?
Yeah. With all this technology at their fingertips, it seems pretty unlikely that they'd make that kind of journey on foot. There must be some kind of device somewhere. Let's see if we can figure out how to use it.
Borrow one of their contraptions? You're either brave or out of your mind.
If it works for them, there's no reason it wouldn't for us. Why make things harder for ourselves?
You know what he's like, Law. Once he gets an idea in his head, there's no talking him out of it.
The hell was that thing?
Probably something that was made here and somehow managed to survive, even after all this time. Not that there's any way of knowing now.
What's wrong?
Oh, I just suddenly found myself contemplating what might have happened to the sovereigns that were meant to emerge from the crown contests.
What do you mean?
You see, the winners of the past crown contests were all strong astral arts practitioners. Furthermore, that enemy we just fought appeared to be composed of several human bodies. It was certainly nothing one would find in nature.
You're saying those were the remains of the winners? That they forgot who they once were?
I'm merely saying it's a possibility.
That's absolutely gruesome. How long had the Helganquil been at this?
It was Rena's great spirit that made them do all of this. Anything to get its astral energy.
So, looks like the Helganquil have been engineering Zeugles too. Why doesn't that surprise me at this point?
The creatures we've been encountering here have been a little different to what we're used to fighting, but I'm pretty sure they're Zeugles too.
Do you think they were engineered using creatures native to the area?
Indeed. However, based on the current circumstances, I would guess these Zeugles are all that's left of the planet's fauna now.
You mean, there might have been native owl species here once upon a time too?
The floor's on the ceiling and the ceiling's on the floor. This whole thing's making my head spin. Why would they even do something like this?
The Helganquil can bend life forms to suit their will. Nothing they could do at this point would surprise me.
The ceiling is on the floor. That doesn't weird you out?
What good is a team made up of members who all share the same opinions on everything? And besides, when you get to be at my ripe old age, one begins to consider it quite uncouth to show one's true emotions at times.
Oh, come on, Grandpa. You can't be that old.
The sands of time wait for none of us, lad.
Yeah, we'll see. Though at this rate, I guess I'll have to live long enough to get as old as you first, huh?
You will. And when the time comes, I look forward to hearing you change your tune on the matter.
So here's a question. We came all this way to Rena on the assumption the Renis Alma's here, right?
Just don't say it, Law.
Yeah, but I'm just saying...
I said don't.
I can understand why you might be concerned, Law, but you need to remember that there are people it affects more directly than you.
Oh, sorry.
We've managed to make it this far believing. Losing faith now won't do us any good. We're better off focusing our anxiety elsewhere.
Such as?
The Great Spirit. If Hevrecht 35's to be believed, our enemy won't just be handing over the Renis Alma to us. At least, not without a fight.
Not only that, but that same enemy just gulped down more than an entire world's worth of astral energy.
Point taken. It may be strange to say, but when I'm fighting, or at least know what needs to be done, it helps me a lot. I don't doubt myself as much. So thanks, both of you. To think, all this started because of the Great Spirit's desire to keep living. The only reason it craves energy is because it's dying from starvation. When you think about it like that, maybe the things it's done aren't so strange after all.
If Rena had been more like Dana, things would have worked out a whole lot better.
It's like Hevrecht 35 told us. The Danon and Renan spirits are meant to be completely different beings.
Rena's energy amassing in one place led to its developing a powerful will. But that also made it crave energy, sapping Rena dry until it perished.
Whereas Dana's energy is dispersed, meaning its will never developed to the same extent. And without that hunger, Dana the planet was spared.
As for which is correct, well, I'm not sure it's our place to even say. Still, I can't help but think it reminds me a lot of the dichotomy of the human condition.
Dichotomy? What do you mean?
Those who know not satisfaction are driven to keep devouring without limit. But those who are content with their lot in life rarely fulfill their potential. I imagine it's likely that the larger Rena's great spirit grew, the more and more powerful its hunger also became.
Everything in moderation. When all's said and done, maybe that's the hardest thing for people to learn.
I don't know what all this gate and key stuff is about, but you've gotta be a little crazy to do research inside a Zoogl's stomach.
I don't care what he gets up to on his own time. I'm just glad nothing crazy came out of all that in the end.
He was trying to bridge together dimensions. That in itself is rather ludicrous, I would argue.
Still, Eisen, was it? It seemed like that was the first he'd seen of his sister all grown up. In that respect, I'm glad it worked out for him.
Everything has a silver lining if you look hard enough. Doesn't change the fact that his little experiment was real dangerous.
Look at it from his perspective. I know if I got to see family I thought I never would again, that'd make me really happy too.
Truth be told, I'm with Kisara on this. The ability to see those that you're afraid you've lost, even one more time. I hope it works out for them.
There was also that Kronos guy we met at the end. Rather less charming. What do you think his deal was?
Yeah, he had those weird ears sticking out.
It's impossible to say whether he's like us or not. However, if we're to judge by his strength and appearance, he is clearly no ordinary being.
And what he said to Xion was just... that was so awful.
He most likely has his reasons for believing in what he does, even if they come from a very different place than what we ourselves know.
He didn't seem to be too harsh on anybody who wasn't human, though.
Whew!
It was all so strange. I wonder if we'll ever get to meet anybody else from other dimensions.
Who can say? If we do, I pray it will be somebody more friendly. I can only fight every newcomer that we meet for so long. It'd be nice to get a surprise ally every once in a while.
I wonder if those are the Fagin ruins below us. Shouldn't be too much farther now, if that's the...
I guess it's been a while since I had a bite to eat. Don't worry about me. I'm used to working while I'm hungry. It's no big deal.
It is a big deal. You should eat whenever you can. The last thing I need is you keeling over in the middle of a fight just because you didn't eat.
Never thought I'd get lectured on eating by a Renan, of all people.
Yeah, well, some of us Renans know what it's like to go without food, believe it or not.
What do you mean? I thought...
This isn't about me. Now, are you going to eat or not?
I would, if we had anything to eat. But we don't.
Actually, I have a little bit of food on me.
You've been carrying that stuff around this whole time? I'm not sure it's gonna be enough for the both of us, though.
That's why we're going to cook it instead.
Cook? I've never done anything like that before.
Me neither, to be honest. But we've got to make something out of all this, so might as well try. You really do eat through that mask of yours, huh? I'm impressed you can manage so well.
Huh? Oh, it's nothing. You get used to it after a while. Still, I'm glad we decided to stop and fill our stomachs. I've got a newfound respect for cooking now. But I guess that's easy when you're used to eating everything raw. It would have been perfect if it had any flavor.
Sorry it didn't live up to your palate.
Oh, no, that wasn't a knock on you. I was just... Sorry. That's not how I should thank you for cooking for me.
You've got me curious now. Is it just pain you can't sense, or are your taste buds shot too?
Oh, sure, my taste buds work fine. Although, apparently what I like tends to be a little out there.
How so? What's so unusual about what you eat?
Well, one time I couldn't get enough of these things I picked off a plant, but everyone else said they were way too spicy. Doc thinks maybe I crave spicy food to compensate for the lack of pain I feel.
Maybe it's best I take charge of the cooking. You know, just to be on the safe side. I can't guarantee it'll be to your tastes, though.
I said I'm sorry. Look, I'll learn to tone down my tastes in the future, so let's just put that slip of the tongue behind us already.
Hey! We should make some pancakes right now.
They were drawing Dohalim's face back there. That seems like a handy trick to keep in your back pocket.
The recipe's light on ingredients, and a little extra work could bring the flavor right out.
Great! Then let's make some together. Our very own personalized pancakes.
Sure, I got this.
You're out, Alphen. I don't need spicy pancakes. You're out too, Kisara. You'd win easily.
Win what? Is it a competition?
Yes! A contest between me, Shion, and Dohalim.
Wait, what? I'm more of an eating specialist.
You can say that again.
I accept any and all challenges.
Great. Then I'll be the judge.
I can gather the ingredients.
Okay, then it's on.
Hey, what about me? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to find out once and for all whose pancakes reign supreme.
I guess he's emceeing now.
Let's hear some thoughts from Kisara, our judge.
Indeed. This is a highly eclectic group of competitors. I look forward to seeing what they produce for us today.
Expectations sure are running high. And here comes Shion with her entry.
I applied all of my know-how to this, and put extra care into the visual presentation.
Well, that's bold.
Nothing wrong with Shion holding her head high. Let's see how it tastes. What?
I mixed in some candy that tingles the tongue.
Oh, I see. It's creative. I'll give it that. But it's quite, a mouthful, as it were. It might be too sweet.
Well, I should hope so. I put in as much food and sugar as I could. It should provide 3 days' worth of nourishment.
3 days worth?
Our judge has been left stunned.
And not in a good way.
Now it's time for the Lord himself.
Here is what I made.
What the?
Dohalim pancakes!
I can't believe he actually did the art.
Go on, relish my crowning achievement to your heart's content.
Well, don't mind if I do.
Not even a moment's pause.
Dohalim, there's some strange liquid leaking out of this.
Indeed. I gathered delicacies the world over and packed them all in. That's what makes my masterpiece so good. Pancakes are overrated anyways.
And you're out.
Defeat.
And just like that, his lordship is disqualified.
What do I do? I just made regular old pancakes. They're both just so eccentric. And mine is so... How am I supposed to follow their acts?
Rinwell, you're up!
Okay, I'm coming. Just putting on some finishing touches. Woo! Oh, Oodle. Ah! Your face! Whew. Are you sure? Well, okay. I'll never forget you, Hoodle. Yeah!
Huh?
Okay, made it. Here you go.
Oh no, you didn't.
Huh?
Never mind. Let's see what Judge Kisara thinks.
Let's see. It's nice and soft around the edges, and yet there's a Hoodle face firmly imprinted in the middle. The contrast of fluffiness and firmness is simply fascinating. And there's a sweet texture that's nicely offset by the jam's tartness. That, and it's the strangest thing, it gives me this odd sense of ardor and conviction. I give this a perfect winning score.
Rinwell takes the title!
Looks like you reign supreme over pancakedom.
I don't understand. I thought I'd gotten the look and taste perfect. What could I have done wrong? Huh? Where's Kisara?
She took off running to burn off the food she ate.
I may have done her a disservice. I guess I was only thinking about what I personally would want to eat.
You know, these other ones are actually pretty good. I could go for more of this texture and salty sweetness.
I agree. Still, they pale next to Rinwell's pancakes.
Yeah, no question there.
In fact, I would love to partake in them again sometime. Huh? Whatever gave it such a fright?
Don't worry about it. I'll draw all of your faces next time.
I can't wait.
You just draw them, right?
How long do you plan on just sitting around doing nothing, Alphen? Because it looks to me like you're taking your sweet time getting ready.
I'm not procrastinating, if that's what you're implying.
Oh? Sure looks like it to me. You had me worried you'd forgotten our mission. Again.
I know. You don't need to keep reminding me.
Hey, Alphen. I'm already over here.
Right. Thanks for letting me know.
I saw you talking with that Bright Eyes before lights out last night. Mind telling me what you two discussed?
Nothing in particular. I just figured that maybe she would open up a little if I tried talking to her.
What? Her? She's a Renan. I know we're working with her, but that doesn't mean we have to play nice with her.
Look, we're all going to be traveling together for a while. It's only going to make things harder if we're at each other's throats. If all we do is bark orders at each other instead of working together, that's not much different than how it is for the rest of us. I think it's important that we all understand each other and work together as equals, if it's at all possible.
Do we, though? Because I sure don't get the feeling she means to do the same.
As soon as Zephyr disappears, all hell breaks loose. We can't get anything done if things stay tense like this. But what the hell am I supposed to do? Well, I guess I'll just have to keep hammering away at them and see how it goes.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
that's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you. Because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too. Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Danon doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Shion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else. Doing some thinking?
Nah. It just occurred to me that our journey's been going for a while now.
Is it a wonder to you our group has held together this long?
Maybe. We've got Danons, Renans, a lord, a mage, and even a guy from another time. Yet here we all are, leaning on each other as travel companions. It's like a minor miracle.
If anything, I'd say it's proof. Proof that as long as we accept each other for who we are, we can all get along.
And with understanding comes togetherness. Yeah, we are more than enough evidence of that.
I've always had a thorny relationship with others. Quite literally, as it happens. I figured that it was easier to give up on intimacy, rather than having to go through all of the pain of rejection. I mean, is it any wonder I grew thorns around my heart, too?
But now...
Right. Now, I still have my thorns, of course. But they don't cover my heart. I know now that there is more than one way for people to relate to one another. It was you and everyone else here that taught me that. Everyone that you brought together, Alphen.
It wasn't just me. I mean, sure, I invited a few folks to join us, but... swordsmanship's about all I have to offer. Everyone's taught and supported me just as much as I have them.
You see? That's what I'm talking about.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're fine just as you are. The bonds that you form with others, they shine more brightly because they're mutual. It's not just one bond for you. It's many, each with a heart of its own. That's what makes them special. And here I was thinking I could get some rest. Is something the matter?
The matter? No, nothing like that.
Then if it's all the same to you, I'll be going to sleep, thanks.
Is chatting with me really that much of a drag?
I just don't get the point, that's all. Is there some pressing reason why we have to talk right now?
I don't know, I think we should all make an effort to get to know one another. What if there's an emergency?
An emergency?
What if one of us suddenly got sick?
Then I'd cure them with my healing arts and we'd move on.
That's easy for you to say. But for the person doing the asking, it may not be so easy to approach you.
If they can't work up the courage to approach me, that's their problem. Unless you're suggesting I'd refuse to heal someone for the fun of it.
I didn't say that.
So what then? Quit beating around the bush and just tell me.
Look, what I'm trying to say is... if we're going to be traveling together, it makes more sense to do it as companions, rather than being at each other's throats the whole time.
I still don't get it. But I do understand that whatever it is, it obviously must mean a lot to you. I'm not trying to make things more difficult for you just for the sake of it. So, I'll make more of an effort to talk every now and then, even when we don't have to. Happy?
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Then if you don't mind, I'm going to get some sleep. Have a good night.
Didn't get it, huh?
Shouldn't you be resting?
I wanted to talk with you for a bit.
I don't really want to talk right now.
Right. I'll, stop bothering you then.
I didn't say you were bothering me. Sorry. Don't take it personally. I'm just not used to being around other people, so I don't really know how to chit-chat.
Well, for a start, you let your guard down a little. Hey, here's a thought. What if you tell me about your childhood?
What with my thorns and all, I didn't really have one. Not to speak of, anyway. Although, I guess I did have one friend.
Who was it?
A really old doll.
Oh.
When I was a little girl, the doll was the only thing I could touch and hold without worrying about my thorns hurting it. I would do things like dress it up or sit it on my lap when I was eating. The two of us were practically inseparable.
Can I ask something?
Is it about the fact that I played with dolls?
No, it isn't. I only wanted to ask who gave you the doll in the first place.
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Where is it now?
I had to leave it behind when I left Lenus. I didn't have a choice. Most likely it's long gone at this point. Do you mind if we chat a bit?
Now there's something I never thought I'd hear you say.
Remember when we talked about what it was like for me growing up? Well, I thought it only fair that I also get to ask what you were like as a child.
My childhood? Maybe you missed the memo that was going around, but I can't remember anything of my past.
I know. Just whatever you can remember. There's gotta be something, right?
Let me think. Well, have I ever told you about my army days? Back when I used to serve under a Danon master?
Yeah, but that must have been after you were already grown up, right? Do you happen to remember anything from back when you were younger?
Actually, I remember I had a kid with me.
You had a kid?
No, of course not. The child's father was another soldier. Back in those days, we risked our lives for a master we'd never even seen. We just fought for them and didn't even question it. When that kid's dad died and I saw them sitting there crying, I felt this bitter, indescribable feeling. It was like I was drinking something toxic that I knew I shouldn't, but couldn't stop. It was strange. I never understood why I reacted like that. Soldiers died every day. It wasn't anything new.
What it tells me is that deep down, you were the same man then as you are now. You've never been able to accept injustice in the world.
If you keep talking like that, you're going to embarrass me. I wonder whatever happened to that master and poor kid. Not that there's any way of knowing now. You know, I just remembered that kid was good at sewing dolls. They gave me one once. It was a good luck charm to protect me.
Dolls? Hey, do you have time to talk? There's something I need to ask you.
Of course. What's up?
It's about the doll I used to have as a little girl. I gave it some more thought, and I still don't remember actually receiving it from anyone.
You were so little. I don't think it's that surprising you've forgotten, is it?
Yeah, but here's the thing. That doll was so old, I'm starting to think I just always had it with me from the start. I know that it's extremely unlikely, but after last time we talked, it got me thinking. Maybe Maybe you brought the doll that child made with you to Lenegis.
I couldn't be.
Are you saying you didn't? Look, logically speaking, I know it's a lot more likely that you didn't bring it with you than you did. But you can't say for sure you didn't, right? Crazier things have happened. I always thought I'd be alone, only to end up meeting you, and Law, and Rinwell, and Kisara, and Dohalim. Sometimes things happen in life that we never thought possible.
You make a good point. I left everyone and everything I knew behind 300 years ago. But now, I'm not so alone anymore.
Exactly. You crossed all those centuries to find all of us, so...
Why can't a little doll have made the same jump too?
Right? Look, it's up to you to decide if there's any meaning behind all of this. But I choose to think there is.
Yeah, I think so too. There's something beautiful about the whole thing that simply can't be denied.
I thought you had something to talk about. I was waiting on you.
Not really. Why? Should I leave you alone when I don't?
No, it's fine.
We used to really have to force these conversations when we started talking to each other, didn't we?
To say the least. Hey.
What is it?
Do you think you'd like to make something together?
Make what exactly?
Just if you wanna make dinner together. What did you think I meant?
Huh? Dinner? Oh, dinner! Yes! Yes, of course! Dinner! Right.
What did you think I was talking about?
No, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Anyway, what did you have in mind?
Well, do you recognize these ingredients?
This is... Wait, is this?
So you remember? That's right. We're going to fix the very first meal we ever had together. Although I remember it not being well received when we had it.
You still remember that, huh? I'm sorry, Shion.
I'm just teasing you, Alphen. I picked this recipe because it's easy to make, and I thought it would be a good choice for dinner, too. Anyway, let's get to work. With both of us making it, we should be finished in no time.
I never thought we'd end up eating alone like this again. Just the two of us.
Yeah. So much has changed when you look back on it. Well, I guess maybe not what we're eating, but still.
No, I'd say even that's changed too, in a sense. Our meals are a whole lot better now.
True. We've both come quite a long way in the culinary arts.
That's not exactly what I mean. How do I put it? It feels like eating together is a lot more enjoyable than it used to be.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Even after our battles are done, when Dana is saved and our mission is finished, we'll probably still be sitting down to dinner like this, night after night.
Yep, I doubt that much will change. You've always got to eat at some point.
I hope our dinners will always feel like this.
Maybe not exactly like this. Hopefully we won't still be camping out.
Oh, no, not at all. I meant in a nice, warm house. One with a roof over our heads and a proper fireplace, instead of an open campfire.
And real chairs instead of these logs. Nice plates and silverware on a big dining table. Oh, and a proper kitchen. That'd be nice too.
And when it's time to fix dinner, we'll be in that kitchen.
Standing side by side.
Whoops. Looks like we made too much. I don't think we'll be able to finish all this.
Yeah, you're right. I'll see if anybody else is still awake. I'd really hate to have to throw it away.
Side by side, huh?
Poodle, come here, sweetie. Woo! Good boy.
What are you doing?
It's flying practice. Poodle doesn't really like to leave my side, but if I don't make him spread those wings every now and then, they'll start to weaken. It's important he practices. Also, I'm pretty sure he put on some extra weight. Oh.
Probably because everyone keeps sneaking him snacks when you're not looking.
I knew it! I thought there was something fishy going on. Oh, it's really not good for birds to be overweight, you know?
Oh, really? I'm sorry, Rinwell.
You were feeding him too? You haven't been giving him anything he can't eat, have you?
I'm pretty sure everything I've given him has been okay. Just to be sure, though, why don't you tell me what he can't eat?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Is something the matter?
No, not at all. It's just, for a really long time, Hoodle was the only friend I had. So on the one hand, it makes me really happy to see everyone be so accepting. But on the other, it's a bit of an adjustment sharing him, you know?
Every one of us can see that he's like family to you. I can promise no one's trying to ignore your feelings or anything.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'll talk to the others about it later.
I noticed you haven't been training Huda lately. Is he doing okay?
Yeah, he's fine. He's been catching fish with Kisara, and he seems to be adjusting his diet on his own, so I'm not as worried as before.
Maybe that's his way of pitching in, so you don't have to do everything for him.
Yeah, maybe. I guess at some point he started taking a shine to everyone too, just like they did to him.
You sound like you're okay with that.
Yeah, more than okay, really. It feels natural having Hoodle and everyone around.
I know what you mean. We all support and take care of each other in our own ways. It's starting to feel like we're almost a family.
Huh, I hadn't thought of it like that. So does that make you everybody's dad?
Do I really look that old to you?
Huh? You don't like that? Okay, how about you be the big brother? Shion is the big sister, and Kisara can be our mom.
Well, then how about Dohalim for the dad?
I don't really get that kind of vibe from Dohalim. He's more like an uncle. An old uncle, who's too preachy and snarky for his own good sometimes. And as for Law... Well, Hoodle took the little brother role, and Law's definitely not the dad. This is hard. Oh! Law can be the pet dog!
A dog? Do dogs really count as part of a family?
Of course they do! If an owl can be part of our family, so can a dog. When you think about it like that, we have a pretty fun family.
Yeah, a pretty big one as well.
That's why I like it so much. I wish we didn't have to do anything dangerous. I just want to keep traveling the world with you guys the way we are right now.
You okay?
Oh, it's nothing. Actually, I think I'm gonna go practice with Hoodle for a bit. You're still awake?
I've always been something of a night owl. Ever since back when I was someone's property. Turning in for the night only made the next day come quicker. I wasn't in any great rush.
Sorry.
What about yourself? Care to share something from before I knew you? You were part of a mage clan, right? Must have been handy being able to rely on magic for everything.
Hardly. In fact, not at all. Magic's not so special when you're not allowed to use it. Always scared of who might be watching?
Right. Sorry about that. I guess I've read too many fairy tales.
We were still made to study it every day. It doesn't make any sense if you think about it, studying the very thing you're being persecuted for. But that's what we did. Just like our parents and their parents before them. Honestly, I don't even know how far back it goes.
If memory serves, mages have been the stuff of legend for ages. Even as far back as 3 centuries ago, they were myths. Your people were persecuted even before the Renans got here.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the less it makes sense though. I mean, it was astral arts that let the Renans dominate Dana, right? Why didn't mages end up being the rulers of Dana then?
Maybe they tried, but they just didn't have the numbers. Or maybe domination just wasn't something they were interested in. Have you ever considered it might have been something like that?
I guess I haven't.
I wonder why magic alone attracted the attention it did. Swords can be just as lethal in the right hands. Why not ban them?
My best guess? Swordsmanship can be learned by anyone. Magic's more of an exclusive club.
So, you either have the gift or you don't. When something's not easily obtainable, it's hard to comprehend. People are scared of what they don't understand. And fear leads to persecution. So the problem's not magic. It could just as easily have been anything.
Yeah.
What's wrong? You're looking pretty down. Something on your mind?
Yeah, you could say that. It's just, well, there's something that's been eating away at me for a long, long time. Do you mind if I share it with you?
Of course not. I'm glad to listen.
See, my mom and dad used to tell me I shouldn't go around casting magic. But there was one time I did, behind their backs. And when I did, Almadria showed up.
Huh?
I hated Almadria for destroying everything I loved. But what I hated most was myself. For breaking my promise to my parents. Even though I swore I'd get revenge, there was always this nagging part of me that wondered if I even had any right to do so.
Rinwell, it was Almadria who killed your family. Don't torment yourself over one mistake.
How can you say that when my mother and father died because of me?
This may not comfort you much, but I'll say it anyway. I have a feeling your parents always knew something like that might happen.
What do you mean?
There was always a chance that someday, someone was going to find you and your family. But even knowing the risks, they still taught you magic. And there are two reasons I can think of for that. First, your talent. Second, they were hedging their bets.
Huh? On what?
On you, Rinwell. On how you turn out when you grew up. Sure, learning magic may invite danger, but it would have been even more dangerous to live in hiding without being able to defend yourself. They knew what they were getting themselves into when they taught you magic. And I think they did it because of how much they loved you.
Because my mother and father loved me.
Sorry, I know I shouldn't be putting words into your parents' mouths.
No, it's okay. I used to think I would have been better off if I never knew how to use magic. And if I'm really honest with myself, sometimes I still think that. But after traveling around with all of you guys, I've learned that there are things I can do with magic. That there's a point to it after all. So I'm going to keep trying. I'm gonna try and accept it as part of who I am. I want to use it to protect my friends. To protect the future of Dana. Do you think that's selfish of me?
Not at all. I wouldn't want it any other way with you, Rinwell. I'm surprised to see you up reading so late. What have you got there?
Oh, it's a book about magic. I was hoping I'd reach the end of this chapter before I went to bed.
I'm impressed you can read all that tiny text without drifting off.
It's easy. Honestly, the subject is so interesting, it keeps me wide awake. Although I have to admit, the more I read this book, the more I realize just how much I still have to learn. I hate not knowing it all, so it pushes me to keep learning as much as I can so I can be a real expert.
So that's why you're studying by the campfire every night, huh? You've really changed, Rinwell.
Really? I don't feel like it.
Remember how you used to be when we first met in Calaglia?
Sure, but that's because I was still hiding a lot from you guys. Am I really all that different aside from that?
Definitely. It's the difference between a rock and the sun.
Are you saying I used to be like a rock? That's not something you should use to describe a girl, Alphen.
My bad. But the comparison is still apt. You used to not be open with us about your magic at all. And now look at you.
Well, I guess you may have a point. I used to hate studying magic because my parents made me do it. And after everything that happened, I felt like it brought nothing but trouble. But now, I don't think it's so bad after all. Maybe I really have changed more than I thought. All magic is simply astral energy combined with knowledge. It's neither good nor bad by itself. It all depends on how you use it. Saying it out loud, I guess I finally made peace with it.
I think you have Law to thank for that.
What? Why him?
I mean, he was kind of the one who...
Nope, he's got nothing to do with it. None. Zilch. Nada. Nothing.
If Law heard that, he'd be pretty bummed, you know.
You're crazy. I don't see why he would be.
Are you saying you rather he wouldn't be? I'd say the fact you can get so worked up about things now is another sign you've changed.
Sounds like someone wants me to put on a little magic show.
All right, all right. I'll take my leave before I say anything else that might get me into trouble. Just make sure you aren't staying up too late, okay?
Ugh, I'm not a little kid anymore. Yeesh. Though actually, it felt kind of nice hearing that. I wonder why. Ooh.
Phew. That may not have been a fancy feast we just had, but I don't remember the last time I felt this full.
Do the Renans often not give you all enough to eat?
It's never enough. The Renans decide exactly how much we'll have and when we'll have it, and that's that. We do our best to get around it. Everyone has to grow their own food and such behind the Renans' backs in order to get by. Thinking about it now, I wonder if they've always kept it meager so we would never have the energy to try to resist what they've done to us.
Yeah. An empty stomach takes its toll on the body and the spirit after a while.
How does a Renan like you know what it's like?
I may be Renan, but they don't like me either. I could be squeaky clean and they still wouldn't give me anything.
Did your stomach just...
I didn't hear anything.
But you just ate. How are you already...
I said I didn't hear anything.
I still have some I haven't eaten yet. Do you want it?
Sure. Hey.
What?
If there's something you want to say, just come out and say it.
Huh?
I hate when I feel like people are laughing at me on the inside. Especially someone like you where I can't read your expression.
What? Why would I laugh at you? What are you talking about?
My outfit. As soon as you saw me in those ruins, you wanted to say something, didn't you?
Oh, it's not that. It's just...
Just what?
Nothing.
You're a truly awful person. You know that?
An awful... Hey, you're the one jumping to conclusions about what I think. You're not one to talk.
Then prove me wrong and tell me what you were really thinking.
It wasn't anything mean about you, I promise.
I don't believe that for a second.
And it doesn't matter what the hell I tell you. You'll always doubt me. This place looks damn near the same on the outside as it does on the inside. Nothing but fire and rocks. I figured a Renan castle would at least be a little more elegant. Instead, it seems this one was very dedicated to a theme.
Is that your idea of a joke? Don't lump the rest of us in with someone like Balsef.
Then why's his place look so grungy?
I guess you could say that's just the majority of what he's into. He likes fire and he likes rocks. He's an egotistical brute without a single shred of class. He even makes everyone call him by his stupid nickname, the Wild Beast. I feel sorry for everyone who's stuck having to work beneath him.
Huh. Interesting.
Why?
I used to think all Renans were like him. Terrible people obsessed with their own superiority, who are only out to make us miserable. But now, listening to you talk makes me realize that maybe there are some good ones too. Maybe there are a few of you that are different.
Listen, I don't know what kind of Renan you think I am, but I have no intention of getting friendly with you. We clear?
Crystal, believe me, I wasn't about to suggest we go hang out and have a drink after this, that's for sure.
Hey, Alphen. When do you find the time to train?
What's brought this on all of a sudden?
It's just, even without the blazing sword, you'd still be able to hold your own, right? But I never see you training.
I'd hardly call it a regimen. Unless exchanging blows with Zeugles counts.
I mean, sure, I get that real-life practice beats training any day. But you must have the odd trick or two up your sleeve.
I just told you, I really don't.
Wait, I've got it. It's your armor, right? You channel the extra weight into your strikes and...
It's actually not as heavy as it looks.
So not the armor, huh? In that case...
Just calm down a little, would you? Why are you so fixated on this anyway?
Well, because I want to make myself stronger.
You're strong enough as it is. I almost feel sorry for those Renan soldiers.
It's not enough. I need to keep working to get stronger. I won't allow myself to fail anyone again.
Law?
I'm useless the way I am now. If someone else dies because of me...
Law!
Sorry. Spiraling into self-doubt won't do me any favors. I know that.
None of us are invincible, Law. We're all just getting by, doing the best we can.
That's all we can ask of each other, right? It's as good a place as any to start, I guess.
To start what?
My new training regimen, of course. And what better way to kick it off than push-ups? 1, 2, 3, 4...
I admire your enthusiasm. Just don't overdo it, okay?
Just wait. You'll see how strong I can get. Oh, hey, Alphen. What's up?
Nothing. I was just surprised to see you weren't training for once. Got a stomachache or something?
You know I don't literally train around the clock, right? I do take breaks.
Do you? It seems like you're training every chance you get.
Well, yeah, it can't be helped if I want to get stronger. Still, it's important to let your muscles rest every now and then. That's what my dad told me anyway.
Zephyr said that?
When I was a little kid, yeah. I would get so excited whenever he came home. I always followed him wherever he went and tried to learn as much from him as I could. He said, it's good to be passionate, but don't overdo it. Just like there are times when you want to take a break from studying, sometimes your body wants to take a break from training too. I was always rushing around and forgetting to rest, so he ended up telling me that a lot.
That definitely sounds like him.
It's nothing to get sad over. Still, I can't help but wonder if that was my dad's way of teaching me the dangers of rushing into things too quickly. Then again, maybe I'm just overthinking things. I wish I'd had more time to talk to him about this kind of stuff.
Hey, Law, about what you said before.
When?
You were telling me how there were things you wished you could have asked your dad. If you want, you can always come to me with your questions.
What brought this on all of a sudden? Don't I already lean on you enough as it is?
Still, there's plenty you would want to ask him if he was still alive, right?
I mean, yeah, but I think you'll have a hard time answering any of them, if I'm being honest.
How come?
I mean, the stuff I want to ask him about is, like, how he met my mom and how he won her over. Stuff like that. Anyway, not really something you can help with, right?
You're right. Sorry, Law. I can't even begin to imagine how to help with that.
You're telling me. I just wish there was someone experienced I could ask about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, he was definitely that.
Hey, Alphen,
What's up, Law?
you ever find yourself just wanting to give Rinwell a pat on the back?
Law?
Not in a weird way. I'm just saying, she may be sassy, but she's also trying really hard, you know? And sometimes, when I see how hard she's working, I just want to walk up and encourage her. Is that weird?
No, I can see why you might feel that way. After all, she is kind of like a little sister to everyone at this point.
Right, exactly! But I'm worried if I do it the wrong way, she'll blast me with her magic. Or if not her magic, she'll sick Hootle on me to peck my eyes out.
Yeah, there's not much you can do if she's not feeling up for it. In fact, you're not the only one struggling to close that gap.
Huh? Has Hootle attacked you too?
No, I just mean because of her thorns.
Thorns? I don't remember Rinwell having any magic like that. That sounds more like Shion than... Huh?
Anyway, Hoodle's probably just worried that you're going to take Rinwell away from him. He's pretty protective, after all. Maybe your first step should be to make friends with him and go from there.
Right. That's a good idea, Alphen. I'll be sure to give that a try.
Thank goodness for Law's thick skull.
So, how's it been going?
How's what been going?
Come on, man. You know what I mean. How have things been with you and Shion?
I had a feeling it was about that. Well, what about things on your end?
No, we're not talking about me. I'd rather hear about you.
I don't really have anything to share on that front.
Don't be like that. You think I can't tell something's been going on?
Look, I'm not the type to go blabbing about that kind of stuff.
Give me a break. Don't keep secrets from me just because you're a little old.
I'm not that old.
I don't know, man. Lately it seems like you start wheezing as soon as we get into a fight.
That's some pretty big talk. You really want to try your luck with me? What were we talking about before?
It was... well, it doesn't really matter now.
What's wrong? Did I hit your head too hard?
No, man, you don't get it. You're really something, Alphen.
What do you mean?
Just you. How you always indulge me and help me work through my jumbled thoughts.
Do I?
Yeah, I always feel better after being with you. Even duking it out just now helped.
There you go again, making me out to be better than I really am.
I'm not making you out to be anything. You can't stop me from admiring you, Alphen.
You've got strange taste then.
I'm fine with that. I hope someday I can be there to lift you up, too.
I don't plan on getting quite that old anytime soon.
We should go again sometime.
We should. I look forward to it. Maintaining your shield? It's becoming a familiar sight.
Miguel was the one who taught me how to maintain my equipment after I first joined the Guard. Now, it's just a part of my routine.
Your brother always seems to come up whenever I talk to you.
That's because we had no other relatives, so it was just the two of us growing up. He was my idol, the one I looked up to and wanted to be like. When I became a guardsman, Lagiel wasn't too pleased to see me at first. It was Miguel who really welcomed me aboard.
Lagiel? Oh, right. She was Miguel's second in the Gold Dust Cats, wasn't she?
That's right. She's always been a very critical and down-to-earth person. In other words, the complete opposite of a dreamer like me.
You're more an idealist than some pie-in-the-sky dreamer.
Even so, that's my brother's doing. He'd never let me stop seeing a brighter world,
He always did what he could to keep me smiling and happy.
You must have meant a lot to him.
He wasn't just kind either. He always worked so hard to set an example for me and everyone else around him. He was a true big brother. So much so that when he thought I was asleep, he'd slip out of the house to go training on the outskirts of town.
You seem to know a lot about it.
That's because I only pretended to be asleep and would follow after him. You know what? I'm at a good stopping point with my shield. If you've got time, how about I tell you a couple more Miguel stories?
I guess I'd better get comfortable.
Sorry for rambling on so much about my past earlier.
Don't sweat it. It was fun hearing you reminisce about the good old days.
Come on, you don't have to pretend with me. I know I can tend to go on sometimes when it comes to my brother.
You said it, not me. Anyway, I don't think it's something for you to be embarrassed about.
Hey, Alphen. When you were a kid, was there ever a time when you had to bury someone younger than you?
Well, it's hard to say. I'm guessing that you have, though.
Yeah. During the previous crown contest, with the Lord before Dohalim. Life back then was truly hell. I think that's why I tried to ignore what Miguel was telling me for so long. Because I was afraid of going back to such a dark time. Of losing hope. I wanted to believe in our paradise so much that I doubted the one person I should have trusted most. I don't blame blame Dohalim for that. I simply didn't want to face facts. And I ended up trying to project my ideals onto everyone else.
It's strange. Whenever you and Dohalim talk about Menancia, it's always like it's some big failure. We're talking about fixing 300 years worth of damage here. Isn't it a bit optimistic to think it was all going to be resolved after only 5?
You might be right. Maybe it was a mistake when Menancia... No. When I decided to stop seeing the darkness in our society. I have to admit the truth. To myself, first of all. I've been thinking about what we discussed earlier. His reasons might not have been pure, but in the end, Dohalim still made Elda Menancia a place where Danans and Renans can coexist. I thought everyone would welcome that change, with open arms. I took pride in what we had without putting in the work to truly solidify it. After so much failure, do you think I even have the right to pursue my ideals?
It doesn't matter what I think. You've already found your answer, haven't you?
I know what I want to say, but I can't help but wonder if I'm being selfish.
Everybody makes mistakes in life, Kisara. Everybody. It's what you do afterwards that matters. But you already knew that, right?
Yeah. I won't look away from the world any longer. I'll do my best to confront reality, so that we don't lose anyone else, ever again. More to the point, Dohalim needs someone who can push him forward. I think we both get lost in our sorrow too easily when we focus on the past.
If we see that happening, we'll set him straight. Don't worry. We'll look out for both of you. I have to say, though, if you turned out this well modeling yourself after Miguel, he really must have been a great man.
What, you didn't believe me before? I'm pretty sure I've been going on about him since I joined up. If you need more convincing, I've got plenty more stories about him.
Maybe another time. Thinking some more about how to realize your ideals?
No. Actually, I've been trying not to obsess about it as much as before. I find when I think too much about my ideals, I get hung up on the reality of things and lose sight of what's really important. I know what it's like to go hungry, to lose your family. That should be reason enough to fight for a better society, so nobody else has to. Sorry about that.
Even thinking about things will make you hungry after a while. You wait here. I'll go whip something up for you.
Thanks for the food.
What's so funny?
Nothing. Just impressed at how good of a cook you've become.
Well, we've been on this journey for a while now, so I've had more than a few opportunities to hone my skills.
Yeah, and now I have a good meal in me. There's a simple kind of happiness that comes with that, you know? One that's more powerful and convincing than complicated logic can be.
That reminds me of something Law said, about how talking too much doesn't put food in people's stomachs.
That sounds like Law. But it's true nonetheless. When you get down to it, all you really need is enough food to keep you full and to be surrounded by people you love. Everything else comes second.
Speaking of people you love, I haven't heard you talk about Miguel much lately.
Wow, okay. Way to make me feel like the worst sister ever. But you're right, I haven't. If I'm honest, I think it's because I finally found other people I love just as much. Whatever kind of society we end up having after this, it needs to be a place where I know you all can be happy. That's my starting point for now.